Maven, that's the hardest thing that people outside the business don't realize, that when you're 31 years old and you still have, God willing, 50, 60 years yet to live, you've got to figure something out.
Yeah.
So when you had that moment, you said, I got to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
What was the biggest thing that you said to yourself and you did to make that change?
Adapt. Be able to adapt. Be able to take what I'm good at now and know that I'm gonna have to get good at something else. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I walked into the business world with an amazing entertainment resume that doesn't mean shit in the business world. And I had to start at the bottom, in my late 30s. I was literally applying for jobs at entry level positions, just because I was tired of being out at the bars, in the bars. I was
Mm-hmm.
tired of getting home at 5 a.m. And I just wanted a real job. And I knew that to get into the business world, I was going to be going for these jobs that these kids were going for. And I had to adapt. I had to adapt my thought process. I had to take the things that I'm not good at or the things that I am good at. And they don't mean shit. You walk into an office and tell somebody, well, what are you good at? I do a hell of a drop kick and I can cut a pretty decent promo. That's well, we're looking for more of your Microsoft Office skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So just being able to having to adapt I think that's the one thing, and that's probably the hardest thing. The most difficult thing is to erase everything I've been for 10 years. And I talked about it in one of my videos. Man, I love being Maven the wrestler. And when I got fired, I used to think, gosh, I thought immediately, gosh, I'm not going to be Maven the wrestler anymore. And you know what I've realized? I'm always going to be Maven the wrestler. That's what
right.
people are always going to know me as. And the critics that you talk about, Coach, I get them too. And here's what I can tell you about every critic. Anything they're saying to you is how they feel about themselves. Do you ever watch one video and leave a mean comment on it? I know you don't.
Never.
I know you don't. You want to know why? Because you're confident in yourself. And there's no confident human being that leaves a mean comment on someone else's thing. So I've learned to just, okay, like, I don't know what this person's dealing with. Yeah, I disagree with them. You're right. I wasn't mid-Carter.
Yeah.
I wasn't mid-Carter. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
I think that we struggle with that because Tommy, in your role for over 30 years and my role for almost 15 and Maven's role is finding that happy medium of saying, I'll use being Maven the wrestler or the coach when I need to. But I see guys, and I don't want to call anybody out, but there's certain guys, and I think we know who they are, that still live in that world that if they're not that person, they're not anything in their minds. And to me, that's a sad way to walk through life.
And
really
that's where you have to be able to adapt and just realize that, we're always going to be the entertainment or we're always going to have the value that we had years ago, but we can add value now to something else with new skills, with new opportunities. And dude, it was tough. I still remember packing my truck up in 2012 and literally my second house foreclosed on. And it was I'm sitting there and I'm in my mid 30s and I'm like, where the hell do I go from here? Like, where do I go? Like, literally, I had to borrow money from my aunt just to get from Florida to here. And that was about a 19-hour drive where I had a lot of thinking.
Well, a lot of thinking to do, but you just mentioned it. You pivoted, and now as we talk about the present for you, I remember having our good friend Coach Phil McKagan on my show all last year, and almost every time, Maven, he would tell me about how good you're doing. He's so damn proud of you. He's like, my little bro Maven's doing this, doing this, doing this, and all of a
little
sudden,
bro, I'm older than him.
I know, right? But that's what he calls you. That's what he calls you. By the way, Tommy, can you believe this dude is almost 50 years old right here?
Man, he looks the same when he was in Tough Enough.
Yeah, the exact same, right?
Yeah.
So now you're not only are you doing YouTube, you're downplaying. It's building a YouTube page for people who don't understand. The average person to get to 1,000 followers, 1,000 takes about 18 months. The average. You reached over 200,000 subs in less than 6 months, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was.
What in the
Yeah,
world did you do? And what Phil always told me is he doesn't want to do wrestling. He doesn't
yeah,
want to just be the wrestling guy. So what did you
yep.
do and what hit for you to now turn into this new life of content creator?
Here's the biggest thing I did, and this was when my partner reached out to me and gave me the homework and told me to watch these channels, and none of them were wrestling at all. And he said, "What is it about these channels that you notice, and why is it that these channels keep you glued and want to watch the next video or want to stay till the end?" And once I did that, I realized, and he told me, he's like, I don't want to make wrestling. He's like, wrestlers all have YouTube channels. He's like,
Mhm.
but they're unsuccessful. And here's why. They they talk about wrestling and then put it on YouTube. He's like, we're gonna make YouTube videos that just happen to deal with wrestling. And there's a few things, certain things we do. For instance, my intro, where some people have this gaudy 30-second intro. Mine's, hey guys, Maven here. That's it. And then we're into the video. I don't give people a time to click off of it. Because once you get into your video quicker, people, they'll scroll immediately, and I see the numbers to prove it. Same with the ending of the video. I get done and then I'm immediately out. Why? And here's why. Because this tells YouTube that people stay, this many people, this percentage of people stay through 100% or 95% of Maven's videos. Well, that tells YouTube, he must have good stuff. Let's push it out to more people. It's all ways to trick the algorithm. And the more the algorithm sends
Yeah.
you out, the more you get in front of people's faces. And we did that not by having wrestling content, but by making YouTube videos that just so happen to deal with wrestling. The best comments I get on a weekly basis are, I haven't watched wrestling in years, but I love your channel. Or I hated you when you wrestled, but I love you now. Or I don't even know who you are. I never watch wrestling, but I love what you do. That's as good as it gets, because we're going after, like, I'm not going after just a wrestling audience. I'm going
No.
after
Right.
everyone. Everyone. You don't have to just want to, you don't have to just know who these people are. And that's why during my videos, I explain things. Like if I talk about a heel, I say a heel or a bad guy, to explain to those non-fans. Or if I say, yeah, I would get backstage and we would kayfabe or
Yeah.
keep things on the down low.
Don't know. Yep.
You're, because I'm explaining, I'm trying to bring these non-wrestling fans along for the ride. Because the minute you talk over their head, they're gone. They're
You're right.
scrolling away. No, Coach, even still, it still blows my mind. I still
It's
remember.
crazy.
We put our first video out, and I think it was on our second video. I was looking at the first video, and it had 541 views. And I'm thinking, my God, I can't believe 541 people gave a shit about what I did. Like,
Yeah.
that's blew my mind. And I text my partner, and I'll never forget what he texted me back. I said, dude, I was like, 541 people has watched our video. And he said, this is nothing. I will tell you when we wake YouTube up. And and I just remember, like, that's so weird to say, when we wake YouTube up. And 2 days later, he said, okay, we did it. And I had to double check, because our first video was like at 225,000 views and our second one was at 80,000. And I'm like, and I remember thinking, what the fuck is going on here?
Right.
Because there's no chance that 200,000 people woke up that day saying, wonder what Maven's doing. No chance.
But
And
they pushed it out, because I saw an
Yep.
article that talked about how
Yep.
they referred to you as a unicorn in the YouTube algorithm space, because you're
Dude.
doing something that legitimately, outside of the idiots going boom and doom, nobody else is doing. So I'm so interested, and that's kind of how we made BTT. This isn't just
what else
about
I do?
asking about wrestling. Please.
You know what else I do, Coach? I don't
Yeah.
ask people for anything. I don't ask them for anything. I don't downfall anybody that does it, but I'm not the guy that's going to be sitting like, and then click like and subscribe and make sure you go to this and stuff. Man, I
Right.
try not to ask people for a damn thing. And there's a reason. It's because when I do ask them, it means something. then it means something. Because we did a live one night, and every time we would do a live, people would give money. And I told him, I was like, man, I'm not asking you to give me anything, but thank you if you do support us. And I said, well, I don't feel comfortable with this keeping 100% of it. So here's what we'll do. If you give us money, I'll donate 50% of it to a charity. And we've been able to hit a bunch of charities. And then when the Vince stuff came out, we promoted it, and I went on and I said, every time I do a live, you guys are generous. I'm not asking you tonight to give, but if you do, we're going to give it to this battered women's shelter. And
I love that.
We made $5,000 in 1 hour.
Wow.
And that's all people that because I'm just new to that. The other day, somebody gave us $10, and I didn't even know know what was happening. I really didn't. And that's just people that will ask a question. It goes to the top, and they can give $10 or $15 or whatever.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Super thanks. Yes.
How it works. We're going to start doing that.
Yeah.
We're going to start doing that. I'm making that decision right now. We're going to start doing that. We have a charity that we deal with called Saves Wings. That is Brett Saberhagen. He's a legendary pitcher for the Kansas City Royals. His wife had cancer 2 or 3 times. And so I host their event. It's the only free one I do every year because he was one of my heroes, one of my childhood heroes.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're going to do that. That's a really cool thing because I feel weird too when you're doing those
do you
lives.
Do you guys do lives?
Yeah. Every Monday night we have a show called The Last Word. That we basically talk about Monday Night Raw and then anything else that's going on. And sometimes we'll just bullshit for, 5 or 10 minutes about whatever. We do a live every single Monday night. Then we have a premium side where we do watch-alongs with the pay-per-views and stuff like that.
And I let the people sometimes pick. I told people my first one was St. Jude's just because that meant something to my mom. Yeah. And after that, I've let the fans pick. And here's another thing we're doing. We put out a couple weeks ago that we went and we filmed a video. It's coming out, I think, in 2 weeks. Wrestling Myths is tomorrow. And then, I think in 2 weeks. We went to the location of the WWF's last show. It was in Worcester, Massachusetts. And we got inside. I mean, we got in the damn arena. I went down into the bowels and showed where we would be dressing. And it was great because the arena was dark. And I was like, and here is where the WWF died. Well, we elicited our fans. We said, hey, we need footage. We don't have any footage of this show. If you help us out with either pictures or footage of this event, we'll pay you and I'll give you a call. And tomorrow I have 3 calls that I'm honoring. I'm going to call these fans. I have 2 of them doing Zooms, and one of them, the guy just wants a regular phone call. So
really
stuff like that. Yeah.
It's so smart, man.
It's just listen, those people, man, they'll support whatever I do from here on out moving forward.
Wow. It is so funny because when Tommy and I started this 5 months ago, whenever it was, I had sworn off the world of wrestling, and I've been very honest about it. I've been very open about it. It was because of how Vince did some things, and that was before he did some things. And then after that, I was like, and then now it's reversed because now, and you just described 3 or 4 or 5 different ways that we can turn a negative into a positive by using our brands and our YouTube channels, in different ways. And that's why we do these interviews. I didn't even think about those last things. So thank you for that. Because that's how we're going to adjust this.
I did a video on my arrest, the worst day of my life. And I got a sponsor from it, and I was able to donate off of that. And again, like you just said, turning the negative into a positive. You're 100% right, man. I've swore wrestling off 7 or 8 times in my life, but it keeps pulling me back. It keeps pulling me back in, and you'll probably find that you run into what I did. I didn't realize how much knowledge I have. Mm-hmm. Did you run into that? I had no clue.
No clue. I felt like there's a chasm, and I know Tommy's going to hate me saying this, but this dude right here has more wrestling knowledge than you and I put together. 32 years inside of the WWE, working for Shane, working for Vince. And say what you want about Vince as the human or whatever, but from building the wrestling business,
Yeah.
he is the GOAT. He is the G. And Tommy was there. So when we do our shows, that's what we talk from a credibility standpoint.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love the most when we say, why is the storyline? Why doesn't it make sense? Here's what we would talk about in the meetings. Here's where we would walk out, and nobody else has that experience.
Nobody.
And that's what I did. I didn't realize that.
And
Tommy, would you agree with that, Tommy?
I totally agree, because our show is unique, Maven. Like, we got over 45 years. I've been in the production meetings with Vince.
Yeah.
I sat ringside for the Montreal screw job. I sat ringside when Mick came off the cage and fell onto our Spanish table. I'm the first one to touch Mick's hand and see if he was alive. You know, Kevin Dunn saying, "Is he okay?" I'm like, "Kevin, he's fucked up, dude."
Yeah.
And that's when everybody starts coming out.
No,
but
Kevin, he's not.
Our knowledge of production and him being the on-camera guy and knowing he did a lot of pre-tapes and stuff, this what makes us different than everybody else, because we don't bullshit.
There are so many stories you guys could tell. You know, another way I would take what you guys do, maybe on your paywall for your super fans, I would pull just random, just maybe throw, all right, here's an idea. You know how on WWF's website or whatever, they have the 100 matches you should watch before you die. I would pull random matches from that and then have you guys watch them and then comment them, and just that would be so informative. I guarantee you, Tommy, because what you could offer, no one's gonna know. You could be like, you see right there. That's where Kevin was, calling from the truck saying, "Make sure you get this shot." Or Kevin was yelling at Mike Chioda to go over and check on, check on whoever in the corner. And that's just because that's what people want to know now. They've watched the shows, they've watched the matches, they know the outcomes. Now they want under the hood. They want to know how the engine runs. And and that's just endless content for you guys right there. And hell, put an element in, let them pick it. Then they feel like they're driving the bus with you. Yeah. Endless.
I feel like we should pay Maven right now for all the stuff that he's given us today. Holy smokes.
Dude, my partner told me one time, he's like, "Yeah, we're going to do a video." And my partner, he's funny. He's a little YouTube kid. And it's just the most unassuming human being ever. He's like, "We're going to do a video where we look inside your wrestling bag." I'm like, "Why the hell would anybody want to know what's in a wrestling bag?" Well, Coach, they do. You're
crazy.
Nuts.
That's
what they do.
Stuff. That's the stuff. And then you just put it out and organically it just grows, and then they watch your other stuff. And also would you say
and then they start giving you ideas. Then they start telling you which way to go. That's when it gets good. Hey, Maven, here's a good video idea. And I'm like, it's actually not bad. Not bad. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Tommy, we got a lot of work to do on our four different shows that we do.
Ooh,
Let's wrap it up with this.
One more. Well, let me give you one more idea, because I think you guys would be great at this. Because I'm actually going to film this video, and here's what's great about this video: anyone can do it. Everyone can do it. Stevie Richards can do it. Cathay can do it. If I was you guys, I would do each of your Mount Rushmore, and then compare and contrast, because both of you are going to have different ones. And then just to hear you both give your reasons, state your case, argue your side, that would be great. Because Tommy, you're going to come at it from a completely different vantage point than Coach is going to see it from.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you bring this up, Maven, because the other day when I was watching Cena on Club Shay Shay, which, by the way, is a perfect example.
Yeah, it was a
great interview, right? But Club Shay Shay has been on for almost 5 years. I didn't know until Cat Williams that he even had a podcast. And now that hits, and now everybody's on Club Shay Shay. But when he said that Roman Reigns was the GOAT, based off of stock price from 2011 to 2024, he took a lot of heat for that. And I said to Tommy, we got to do a video on who we truly believe the GOAT is.
Yeah.
Based off of what our reasons are. Because Cena truly believes that because the stock was here, and I would argue it wasn't even a public company till a certain date.
Right.
So Hogan couldn't have been. Macho Man couldn't have been. You know,
Absolutely.
and so I think you're onto something. And
Dude, that's a
because
great video.
yeah.
Like right now, I want to hear your reason, and I want to hear your reason. Like I want to hear that. That's good. And the thumbnail just makes itself.
Thumbnails, I know we've studied your thumbnails. We put in the work with that. I tell you, we got to do something in the future. But
Let me know.
I want to end with this, because part of the reason we started this show was to tell stories. And we've talked 10 minutes about your wrestling career and then went way the other way. That's why we did this. And I want to tell you this from one friend to another publicly, that I could not be more proud of you sitting
Oh,
in that chair on our show, talking to us clear as a bell, and being happy, and where you've gone, where you came from, where you're going, and the fact that we're just a small part of your blip, and the fact that a lot of us that were in that time together are still alive, are still talking about it, and we're using it in a positive fashion, and you're leading that charge. So I just want to say we're super proud of you, and thanks for coming on today, bud.
Likewise. And guys, I'll come back on anytime you guys want, and keep doing what you're doing, because I've said it on Taker, and I still can't fathom that Taker asked me to be on his show. And like it's just it was crazy that he asked me. I didn't like beat his phone up. But I said it to him, and I'll say it to you guys. Man, there's enough space for everybody. No one's fighting for the 8:00 time slot anymore.
Right.
We're not fighting for a 2-hour window. There's enough room for everybody to be successful. That's why I support everybody. That's why I support Stevie and Cafe and you guys and Taker and what Conrad does and what Jarrett does and what Cornette does. Man, everybody can be good. And I'm a firm believer that we get back what we put out.
That's
and
right.
You keep putting out what you put out, Coach, because I've never known anybody more positive than you ever in my life. Do you remember what I used to say when I would come out and I would always look at you? Remember what I would say? And I would say I would punch the air. What was it? That's what I'm talking about. Remember, I would come out and I would punch the air. That's what I'm talking about. And you would on the video, you'd be like, "That's my boy. That's my boy."
Sunday Night Heat. Let's go. Oh
Love
man,
it.
what a great time that was. Oh, all right, that's gonna do it for this week's episode. But I'm telling you guys right now, check out all of Maven's stuff. His YouTube channel is amazing. Obviously, if you watch this, you know what a good human being is. And I'm telling you, around Christmas, a little bit after Christmas, because we got to talk about that Taker interview. We got to talk about you being on his show, and the fact that the Undertaker. You'd have told me 20 years ago Undertaker would ever have a podcast, I would have told you were crazy.
Right.
And that it's good.
And it's good.
And that it's good. It's good.
Oh man. Oh man. Maven,
Thank
you're the
you
man.
guys.
Thanks for coming on. Thank you. That's Maven Huffman right here on BTT.